I started with a simple idea body. People seem to have a lot to say about body, its look, its shape, and its proportion. However, we seem to own our bodies but not at all practice the real ownership. We are often told how we look and how we should look. Our bodies are partly under control of some social standards. Since we were little, we were told and taught how boys and girls should behave and should dress. There were rules to follow. Once we are grown ups, we're still led to choose certain types of clothing to cover our bodies. Even when we think that we are the decision makers, the truth is often that we are just driven to believe so. For example, when we choose a piece of clothing, we choose what looks good on us. Nevertheless, the clothes are made by the big industry of manufacture. There are usually designers who work behind the scene to manipulate our minds. In the postmodern world, the decision is never made by pure self awareness. Rather, we are all affected by the massive commercialism. In the beginning, I was more interested in the idea of how women being looked as a very different species. Even though we believe that feminists have done it all to promote the idea of gender equality, we still see how the society advertises the prototype of female gender. If one does not follow the norm, she is defined as unwomanly. I created a series of monster women trying to portray women's situation. Regardless of one can say that now women have jobs and have their voices on different issues in society. There's still the backlash against the gender equality. We still see images of women being treated as second gender, and we still hear men and women making comments about women as if women still live in the 15th century. While we think that we have been living in a more advanced society, nothing has really been changed drastically. With this series of work, I try to illustrate the frustration and confusion of a woman had in her mind. I was trying to create some kind of psychological effect on a woman. My images were based on twisted female body, and I tried to make some monsters features into a woman body. Although I liked the idea I started with, as far as images went, I started losing focus. In fact, I could not produce more images related to this idea anymore. It seemed to me that this idea was a bit too simple to be further developed. Therefore, I felt that I needed to shift to something else. In order to keep experimenting, I thought that I should shift to something completely different from what I had been doing. So I was thinking of something three-dimensional to get away from pure drawing and painting. I felt that I needed to make something by hand, to feel more about the materials and to find more possibilities of the topic. I decided to make some soft sculptures. At this moment, my mind wandered to the body shapes. I asked myself, why is there always a standardized shape for human, especially for women? When we look into the mirror, we are never happy and satisfied with our original selves. Instead, we are usually searching for a particular shape and form of body. Who is behind all the scenes to set all the rules? Then I looked into the window display and saw how all mannequins were made with certain sizes. It amazed me how all the dummies looked all the same and how they were promoting some unbelievable body forms and shapes to us. The truth is that nobody looks like these perfect mannequins. Then the question is, why are we showcasing clothes on these non existent bodies? I started collecting some mannequins to study and to learn how the ideas of body were constructed by the market. We are led to believe that buying a dress from a store makes us look like those perfect mannequins, and we are almost obligated to follow certain trends. I used yarn and string to wrap around these bought mannequins. I also put my mannequins in the center of the frames. I intended to make them look like pieces of painting. However, they are three-dimensional paintings with some standardized curves of female body. While I was working with these mannequins, I was also reading and learning about Hannah Hawk. It brought back the memory of me doing some collage work in my art class a while back. I immediately got interested in picking up the old habit again. This time, I let myself go with the flow. When I had the female monster in my mind, I did not allow myself to work on other projects or with other different materials at the same time. I quickly got frustrated and started losing my focus. Now, next to the soft sculpture project, I allowed myself to get off track to make some collage work along with it. I let myself work on two different projects at the same time just to see what would happen. While I was truly enjoying cutting and pasting, my major study project took another big turn. I gradually realized that I could not only focus on one project at a time. Somehow I needed to be doing different things at the same time in order to get inspired. I saw myself easily trapped in my own ideas. However, if I could have different ideas at the same time and embrace them at the same time, I felt more easily to swing among those ideas, practice and revise them with more freedom, and more likely I would come up with something more interesting. Finally, I decided to go with my collage work for one reason that I could create more images constantly and continuously. I felt that the collage work had more to say than my other project. All the images seemed to carry more meaning once I destroyed and reconstructed them. I limited myself to use only images from some old fashion magazines. I found it liberating to destroy the fashion trend. I basically used what were already there to recreate different images. On the one hand, I was thinking how fashion made everyone look the same. On the other hand, I was trying to question how they could look differently through a little bit of twist and manipulation. I intentionally made all the collage by hand, and when I scanned all the collage pages into my computer, I tweaked it a bit more. Sometimes I cut it and pasted again, and sometimes I added text to improve the layout and accentuate the meaning of the images. All the pages were done in a random way. I tried to focus on page by page. In the end, I could see myself with mixed feelings about the result. I liked some pages, but some pages seemed to be lacking of something and still need more work. During the whole process, I had tried to paint on some collage pages and mixed other materials into these pages, but somehow they did not work as well. These collage pages ended up looking better individually than working into the book and with other unpainted ones. Eventually, I decided to keep all the collage pages look the same, like the same style. Eventually, they should all work together like a whole piece or a series of work in the magazine. This major study project has been quite a journey for me. It did not just lead me to read and learn about a lot of contemporary artists, it also helped me to experiment different skills, methods to complete my work. Through the whole course of art making, I used the materials that I was familiar with, such as acrylic and mixed media. At the same time, I also learned the basic ideas about Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, and Adobe InDesign. To me, art is about experimenting with different materials, techniques, and ideas. Hopefully, I will keep experimenting as an artist in the future.